Hands off MACG. The podcast is rated 18 and above. If you do know that your daughter or your son might be watching MACG's podcast, you do know that it comes with an age restriction. You don't complain when you watch Bridgerton, when you watch NSFW, Sex and Pleasure, when you watch Adulting. The other time, Usis Kanyimba's sex scene on The Wife was trending, and you were very excited. And you're always watching all these American shows that have got like sex in it, but you never complain. Lady Chatterley's Lover, I think. Sense8. There's a lot of sex documentaries on Netflix, on Showmax. And you've been watching sex scenes. Some of y'all actually even watch porn. But you don't complain. You don't complain to the internet that they show you a lot of nudes, a lot of nudity. They even warn you, right? The same as MACG is warning you. I understand that a lot of people can be mad. A lot of people are concerned about their children. I'm also a parent. I'm also always concerned about what my kid watches on television. But you do know, I'm a chiller as well. You do know what Podcast and Chill comes with, guys. And people have been doing this. About Howard Stern. I remember back in the days at YFM, DJ Fresh used to have strippers in their radio studios. And we used to love it. We were young. We were actually even like in our early 20s. Some people were even teenagers. White Lines on Netflix. Abo N, the film. There's a lot of movies on Netflix that come with a lot of age restrictions, a lot of nudity, cursing, a lot of violence, etc. You can't be allowing your children to be watching Podcasts and Chill when you do know it comes with an age restriction. For me, it's either you come from the mainstream media or you are hating on MACG's Podcast and Chill. Shout out to MACG, Podcast and Chill, and Saul for taking it that far. I believe if it wasn't allowed, YouTube would have banned them. They would have suspended them. They would have taken their channel down, because YouTube comes with the community guidelines. That if you do bridge the community guidelines, you are risking, it's a risk of your channel getting taken down, your channel getting suspended, etc. So I don't think we should be that harsh on MACG and Saul taking it that far. It just so happens that yes, we know them. Yes, we know their parents. Yes, we know we've got kids, but we never complain about all these other television sexual shows. We've just never had such a podcast in the country, in the continent. They're pushing boundaries. They're pushing the envelope. And that is their lane. That is not your lane. That is not my lane. It's their lane. Because if they don't do it, somebody else will do it and you won't complain. You're going to be cheering. You'll be excited. You'll be sharing all the trending videos of their sex scenes. Just like you always do with all these other American shows. All these other shows that are on Netflix. All these other movies that you're always watching. All this other content that you're always consuming from the internet. All this porn that you always watch all the time. Hands off MACG. They're breaking boundaries. It's never been done before in the podcast era. MACG is taking the game to another level. And I'm not saying it's right or it's wrong, but I'm just saying in terms of breaking boundaries, in terms of being game-changing, in terms of pushing the envelope, you and I, as parents, we might not agree with it, but you gotta give it to them for taking it that far. It's never been done before. And it's not like he posted a blowjob scene on the podcast. It was just audio, and it was just a guest who is a sex worker. Don't we recognize our brothers and sisters' jobs when they say they are sex workers? Isn't sex working legal in the country? It doesn't matter whether you judge him, whether he's right or wrong. Yes, you are entitled to all of those opinions. Just like if I put an African spiritual content online and people are going to come in and accuse me of, yeah, your guest said this and that about reptilians, about aliens, about draconians, about white supremacy, about this and that or whatever. You might not agree with it, but it's content that I feel that it's good for my audience. That is my lane. That is MACG's lane. And he is pushing the envelope in his lane. If it was wrong and if it was illegal, YouTube would have taken it down a long time ago. Stop being a chiller if you worry about, what your kids are going to watch on there. There is an age restriction on MACG's podcast. And as much as it might not be your cup of tea, my cup of tea, or the next person's cup of tea, it's got an audience. We are subscribed there and we pay every month. You might not agree with it, you might not like it, but if it's a Netflix show, you're always, we are always excited about these Netflix shows. They're always trending and we are always speaking nice about it. Maybe because they are done a certain way. Maybe is it because it's Americans. Maybe is it because it's on Netflix. Maybe is it because it's people we don't know. I believe hands off MACG, man. In terms of content creation in this country, in terms of taking it to the next level in podcasting, in terms of setting the pace, you and I might not agree with it, but you gotta give it to them, man. They're doing their thing, and they're making us talk, and they're making people who love that type of content go crazy, get excited. They're offering what they have to offer to their audience. And MACG's podcast has never been one to be like the Hustler's Corner, like the Sobering Podcast, like the other podcast or the other podcast or the Penuel Show. No, it is MACG's Podcast and Chill. You know anything can happen on that podcast. You know it's about to go down. As soon as it's 3 o'clock and you start tuning in, you know anything can happen. You know it's about to go down. So for me, those are my opinions, and that is my response. And I'm entitled to these opinions. You're also entitled to your opinions. But I kind of feel hands off MACG. I think it's either you're hating. I think it's either you're jealous. I think you either can't produce creative content yourself. It doesn't have to be that type of content. It can be in your own way, in your own lane. And that's exactly what they're doing. That's their lane. But you got to give it to them, man. So I just want to shout out MACG and Saul for breaking boundaries in broadcasting, for taking it that far. Remember, guys, we are an alternative media. We are the alternative voices. We are on the internet. We're not going to let people who are watching television all the time tell us what to do on the internet. Otherwise, they must just go watch TV. They must leave us alone on the internet. We're doing our own thing on the internet, our own way. Whether you agree with it or you don't, that is your cup of tea. Rather, don't watch. It's the internet. Times have changed. And it's our responsibility as parents to guide our children, to be there for our children, to monitor our children, even if it means we have to install spy apps on our kids' phones to make sure that we are monitoring what they are watching, what content they are consuming, who they are chatting with. It's our responsibility as parents. It's not MACG's responsibility. MACG's never said he's a role model. MACG's never said he's anybody's role model. He is breaking boundaries, and his podcast is making all of us talk. We never talk. We go crazy and excited if it's done by Americans, if it's done by movies, Hollywood, if it's done by, like Netflix and Showmax. Leave MACG alone. Hands off MACG. Congratulations to MACG for setting the boundaries. Whether I agree with it or I don't, I do know that they're kicking ass, they're making us talk, and they're delivering for their audience. It's high time that you start your own podcast, you start creating your own content, you start moving in your own lane. Make us talk, make us agree, disagree with you, make us fight with you, make us drag you, but just do what he's done. If you can't do it, then just rather shut up. Leave MACG alone. Hands off MACG. Danke san. Danke.